A seguir, cenas de grande impacto aconselhadas para pessoas de todas as idades. Bikes diferentes para bikers diferentes. Essa foi uma das principais preocupações da Sandal Bike. O resultado disso é uma linha completa e moderna com modelos projetados para vários tipos de atividades e domínios. Seja você também uma fera. Sandal Bike, a fera das bikes.
Profession as old as time. In the game of espionage, there are no rules, no safety, no way out.
Your former team members, they've been assassinated.
Now, Rick Cullen must pull himself out of retirement to save himself, and the only thing left that matters to him, his son.
You made a lot of enemies in your time with the agency, Mac. It would be difficult to determine who could be coming back for revenge.
Nowhere to turn, no place to hide, no one to trust. Trained to kill.
The company's kind of like the mob. Nobody can ever quit, unless they're dead.
I'm not coming back, Michael. Ever.
No safety. No escape. No limits. Don Wilson is trained to kill.
In an urban jungle, he is the last of a dying breed.
McLean. Sonny McLean.
Hey, Sonny!
He earns his living the hard way.
Pack it in, cowboy. Leave it to the professionals.
Being a bounty hunter and having a family just doesn't exciting.
I like doing what I do for a living.
But old habits die hard.
You said you were going to do one more case and then it was going to be over.
You are our only hope.
And what should have been a simple job turns into a nightmare.
Can't be involved in this investigation.
I didn't kill your nephew.
Liar! You're the DA's #1 suspect.
Which makes me even more motivated to find him.
Now, the battle lines are drawn.
You started the war.
No!
And loyalties are questioned. And with no one to turn to, instincts quickly take over. Time is running out.
Who are these guys? These men are going to kill us!
And enemies are closing in.
Go, go, go!
When you are the hunted, your best bet is to keep moving. Michael Dudikoff, Billy D. Williams, Michelle Johnson. Moving target.
the Octagon. It's become the home of the most dramatic martial arts clashes ever. The home of the most awesome displays of power, technique, and heart. This is the Ultimate Fighting Championship, where over the last 24 months, reputations were built and destroyed. Fighting systems judged and found wanting. Now, after 7 grueling tournaments, 8 warriors have passed muster. The greatest fighters on the planet, Ultimate Champion, Jenna, Severn, Taktarov, and Buas. Ultimate Challenger, Abbott, Smith, Hackney, and Benetton. All here tonight, ready to do battle in the Ultimate. Are you ready? Let's open up the gate. We're at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado. Our setting, the Mammoth Gardens, an intimate building with a rich history that dates back to the early 1900s when it was once the soul of Denver's social and entertainment life. Tonight, this arena will be transformed into a martial arts melting pot as we present the white knuckle event, the bare knuckle competition, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Hi everybody, I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to the Ultimate. Twice as fast, twice as furious, twice as tough. Tonight, 8 fighters, 4 former UFC champions, 3 former UFC runner-ups, and 1 man known as the Giant Killer. It's the largest purse ever in a martial arts competition, $250,000. This is the culmination of 2 years in the making. One of my broadcast partners, the former gold medalist at the Olympics in 1984, Greco-Roman wrestling, super heavyweight division, Jeff Blatnick. And Jeff, when we look at tonight's competition, you've got to be excited.
Well, I certainly am, and when I take a look at that field, Bruce, unbelievable. I see 3 key points with this field. The first being experience. Everyone here has experience. They have multiple fights inside the octagon. They've had time to go back, digest the lessons, and that brings me to my second point. Preparedness. How well have they trained? Have they taken those lessons, put them to use, learned new tactics, new skills to bring them in against the best field ever to enter the octagon? And my last point, Bruce, incentive. $150,000 goes to the man who's standing up last in that octagon. And that's certainly a lot of incentive. 1, to train hard, be prepared, and to go out there and lay it on the line.
What about the mental approach of these fighters in the Ultimate?
Well, without a doubt, all of our interviews with these fighters, Bruce, you've seen it. They're all very, very focused. They all seem to be very, very calm. Don, you hit it on the head. That's what experience does for you. You don't waste energy with nerves, and you don't suffer from anxiety. Thus, you focus on what you want to do, and that's your goal, to be successful once you enter that octagon.
Well, the other member of our broadcast team has captured 10 world titles in 4 different weight classes in kickboxing. 3 times he was named Fighter of the Year. He's also been in 20 movies, from Blood Fist to Batman Forever. And now he's got a new tape out there, Night Hunter. It's coming out soon. It's where a vampire and a dragon fight to the end. And I'm talking, of course, about the Dragon, Don the Dragon Wilson. And Don, what does the Ultimate mean to the martial arts community?
Well, I've been a martial artist for 23 years, and I think I can speak for all the rest of the martial artists worldwide. This is the most exciting martial art competition that has ever happened in modern times. I mean, this is the first time the kickboxers, boxers, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu, aikido, judo, we all can meet under one banner, which is the UFC.
What is the question you've been asked most often when cruising around Denver the last 2 or 3 days?
Well, oddly enough, since the first broadcast that I worked on, I've been asked, is this real? And having been a choreographer and a actor in 20 films, I've seen the fake stuff, and I've been a fighter for 17 years. I've seen the real. This is as real as it gets.
There will be some blood spilled tonight. This is not for the faint of heart. Right now, let's take a look at the draw for the Ultimate, which took place several months ago. First of all, we've got Big Tank Abbott in the opening round matchup. UFC 6 runner-up against UFC 3 champion Steve Jenna. Then UFC 5 titleist Dan Severn meets the Polar Bear Paul Varlins
who got into the main draw yesterday when Patrick Smith was medically disqualified from the event. Then it's a rematch of the UFC 6 quarterfinals. Oleg Tektarov, the Russian Bear, against dangerous Dave Beneteau. And then we conclude the quarterfinals with the defending UFC champion Marco Huas, the king of the streets, against the giant killer Keith Hackney, a classic grappler versus striker confrontation. Here is the referee for the UFC, Big John McCarthy from Corona, California, working his 7th UFC. He is a tactical instructor at the Los Angeles Police Academy. He has officiated 55 no-rules fights. The chief medical advisor, Dr. Richard Istrico of Howard Beach, New York, a panel physician for the New York State Athletic Commission, medical director for the New York Golden Gloves, team physician for USA Boxing. The sanctioning body for the event is the IFC, the International Fighting Council. The commissioner is Art Davey from Las Vegas, Nevada, longtime UFC matchmaker and fight consultant, a former sergeant in the U.S. Marine Corps. No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking, reaching fingers into the mouth. The referee has the authority to restart the bout if there is a lack of action. No rounds, but a 15-minute time limit in the quarters, 18-minute time limit in the semis, 27-minute time limit in the finals with a 3-minute overtime if necessary. Now, if time expires, 3 judges decide the winner based on the following criteria: aggressiveness, effectiveness of strikes, and effectiveness of ground techniques. Here are the ways to win a fight. First of all, by knockout. Second of all, by submission, which is tapping the mat with your hand or your foot. Also, number 3, if the corner throws in the towel. If the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself, or by disqualification. Now, for the first time in the UFC, there will be 3 judges outside the octagon who will render a decision if a bout reaches the time limit. Ernest Hart Jr., 4-time PKA kickboxing welterweight champion. John Little, associate publisher of Inside Karate, Inside Kung Fu, and Inside Taekwondo magazines. And Michael D. Pasquale Jr., the editor and publisher of Karate International magazine and a highly ranked jiu-jitsu instructor. So we open things up with our first quarterfinal match. The street fighter Tank Abbott, the police officer Steve Jenham. Right now, let's go up to our announcer in the octagon, the G-Man, Rich Coins.
Good luck to you. Ladies and gentlemen, SEG Sports Corporation welcomes the world to Denver, Colorado and the Mammoth Event Center for the greatest martial arts competition in the world. The Ultimate Fighting Championship, Ultimate. Tonight, 8 of the world's greatest fighters will fight in the octagon. 4 former champions, 4 competitors. Only one will emerge victorious and $150,000 richer. Only one will come out. No rounds, no timeouts, no weight classes. Are you ready to rock and roll? Let me introduce our fighters for the first round matches. He's 30 years old, 6 foot, 250 pounds, a pit fighter with a bare knuckle record of 7-0. 2-1 in the octagon, the runner-up in Ultimate Fight Championship 6, fighting out of Huntington Beach, California, David Tank Abbott. And his opponent, a police officer from Omaha, Nebraska, a practitioner in the art of Taijutsu, a 3rd-degree black belt in ninjutsu, 32 years old, 5'10", 195 pounds, 2-0 in the octagon. Please welcome the Ultimate Fight Championships 3 Ultimate Fighting Champion, Steve Jenham. And our referee is John McCarthy. Let's get it on.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape. Ninjutsu, It's actually now taijutsu against pit fighting. Age, not much difference. Height, not much either. But the big story is in the weight. 55 pounds for Tank. Is it too much? We'll find out. Quarterfinals about to begin in the Ultimate. Big John McCarthy has the fight.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Here we go. Both with gloves. Tank with a quick takedown. And looking for a submission hold quickly.
He's on top. He's looking now to take his time. We'll see how much he's learned now about the guard since he's gone to Utah. And you see him take Jenham right to the fence. He's going to try to crowd him, get his head up tight against that, and then possibly open up some channels for some strikes.
Well, this looks to be a pretty good strategy for Tank. Having the size, the strength, grappling should be where he would have an advantage over Jenham. If he was to sit outside and just duke it out, he's probably quite a bit slower.
Jenham repelling Tank, trying to use the fence and trying to break clear. Tank wants to unload that right hand. He did in that last second, now he does.
And you can see Jenham is schooled in the guard. You saw when Tank tried to raise up to throw down punches, Jenham went right up on the points of his shoulders, thus putting Tank out of reach. Tank couldn't hit him there. And then he was able to push Tank away, didn't panic, he's right back in the guard again.
15-minute time limit. Tank on top working against Steve Jenham.
It's a very bad position for Jenham.
He taps out. Jenham taps out. He had nowhere to go. His head was crowded against the fence, and Tank Abbott wins the first bout of the Ultimate. And he did not use that much energy, which is a big thing, guys.
Hardly used any.
In this style of competition, that can make a big difference in the outcome. Tank used very little energy for that bout.
1 minute and 14 seconds. Abbott was unable to really throw that blistering right hand. Jenham did a good job, Jeff, of just trying to stay alert against the fence and not get reamed.
Well, he didn't get struck in any way, but unfortunately he was driven into that chain link fence so hard, it appeared that his neck was bent at a severe angle. Obviously the metal on the skin and the skull probably was highly uncomfortable. He probably didn't feel he had a way out. He might have panicked a little bit there, or felt as though he was going to be in some more desperate trouble, and before he took any attriting kind of strikes, he tapped out.
Right, I think the term highly uncomfortable was pretty conservative.
Well, you can see here right away the grappling skill of Tank Abbott, knocking him right down, but Jenham held his own in the guard position. But you'll see Tank drive him. Here is where Jenham did a nice job of keeping Tank from striking him. That's what you use the guard for, using your feet to keep distance. But Tank closes in again, and this time drives him into the fence. And there's a real good look at it. You can see Jenham's head.
There's nothing he can do.
That chain link fence. He's caught there, nothing to do, and you'll see him now tap out.
Looks very painful. Very painful. All the weight of Tank Abbott against your head in the fence.
Particularly with Tank's skull driving into your chin.
Right.
So Steve Jenham's first loss in the octagon. Tank Abbott advances to the semifinals to take on the winner of Dan Severns and Paul Varlins. All right, here's a look at our next matchup in the quarterfinals. Paul Varlins against Dan Severns. Right now, we're set for the introduction. Let's go up to Go Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our second battle of the evening. Please welcome the competitors. First, a black belt in the art of trap fighting and a practitioner of free-form freestyle fighting. He's 25 years old, 6'8", 300 pounds. The runner-up in Ultimate Fight 7, a record of 3-2 in the octagon, out of Sunnyvale, California, from the icy north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Please welcome the polar bear, Paul Varlins. And please welcome back his opponent from Coldwater, Michigan, 37 years old, 6'2", 250, a National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion, the 94 AAU Greco-Roman Masters champion, Sambo champion, and freestyle champion. He's 5-2 in the octagon, UFC 4 runner-up, UFC 5 Ultimate Fighting champion. The Beast is back, Daniel Severns. Severn! Let's rock and roll!
And here's a look at the numbers. Freestyle, freeform versus wrestling. Severn, 12 years older than Varlins. 6'8" is the polar bear. He also has 50-plus pounds on Severn, who told me that yesterday he was down to 238. Alaska versus Michigan. Here we go.
These two are going to wind up in tight. Really in tight. Let's see if Severn can control the wrestling. He does right away.
And he goes to the left hand quickly on Varlins. Now looking for a chokehold. He took the polar bear right down, chopped him down like a tree.
And a big man like Varlins is not going to be comfortable on his back. Severn moving the arms. He's got that arm tripe. That left arm now can strike if he wants to. He can even elbow if he wants to.
Varlins has to fight from the mat. Severn's got that elbow into the
throat. He was trying to
throat.
choke. He was trying to choke there. He hasn't thrown a punch yet. Maybe he's going to save his hands. He's looking for a way to submit before he goes ahead and risks his hands trying to strike the skull of the polar bear.
He's got the polar bear on his back.
Watch your fight!
It's a semi-chokehold. It all depends if Varlin panics or not.
Well, Severn is using no energy. He is using all leverage here. I'm really impressed with that.
He taps out. The polar bear taps out, and the beast loves it.
Stay right there. You lay right there. Stay right down there, good guy. You stay right there, pal. I want you to move. You stay right there.
Well, you know, the only marks on Dan Severn are the slap marks that he put on himself.
Goes on his leg. There's some. Varlins is still down. He's got a small cut on him. He's okay. It's not as though he's not breathing or anything like that. He's just a little bit out of air. Severn goes over to console him, see how he is.
Dr.
Varlins
Richard Istrigo there quickly, bringing over the towel. Varlins said to Doc Istrigo he is okay. Here's another look at it.
Severn closed the distance. There's the kick. Severn uses his wrestling skills to immediately take the big guy down. Once he gets him down, he clears the legs. Varlin doesn't have a guard. And he eventually took Varlin's right arm, folded it over his own face, and then clamped on that lock, and it was a chokehold all the way. The Beast is back.
Here we go, folks. We move on to the bottom half of the draw in the quarterfinals. And this one on paper is the best quarterfinal matchup. Dangerous Dave Beneteau against the Russian Bear, Oleg Taktarov. All right, we're set for the introduction of the fighters. Right now, let's go up into the octagon to Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our third match of the evening pits two great warriors. First, a super heavyweight wrestler, 28 years old, 6'2", 235 pounds, a four-time CAWA wrestling champion with a record of 2-2 in the octagon, fighting out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada, the UFC 5 runner-up, Dangerous David Beneteau. And his opponent holds a 4th-degree black belt in the art of jiu-jitsu, four-time European and Asian jiu-jitsu champion, Russian national judo champion, world sambo champion, a record of 4-1-1 in the octagon, 27 years old, 6 foot, 225 pounds, from Gorky, Russia, the UFC 6 Ultimate Fighting Champion, the Russian Bear, Oleg Taktarov.
What a matchup this one is. Taktarov, by the way, has an unbelievable threshold of pain. Beneteau is 1 year older than Taktarov. As far as height is concerned, Beneteau is 2 inches taller. The weight, one went down, one went up. Beneteau went down, Taktarov went up. It is an international fighting match, Ontario, Canada, against Russia.
Are you ready?
I think this is going to be a great fight. And this time it's Taktarov closing the distance, not giving Beneteau a chance to throw any punches at all. Both are superb grapplers. The edge in wrestling, the Beneteau, definitely the edge in submission to Taktarov.
There's Beneteau trying to use that left hand that he picked up from working with Emmanuel Stewart.
Well, you can't learn very much when it comes to boxing or kickboxing or striking in a short period of time, so I would guess he's going to stick with his wrestling techniques.
There's the wrestling technique, single leg. Let me ask you, Don, I saw Beneteau do it twice now. When he's tied up, he's put the head under Taktarov's chin. Would that open a knee to Beneteau's face?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right there.
What he should be doing if he wants to get that knee in is bring his hands around Taktarov's head and actually...
Let's go.
There's a Thai boxing move that he can use to get that knee in.
Oh, he could have a leg lock here.
Taktarov's got the leg lock on Beneteau.
Not yet. He's going to try to bring the big guy down. There it is. Now, if he can keep the pressure and keep Beneteau from sitting up, it's going to be okay.
Right, he's got him in it. Oh.
Beneteau kicks to the face and taps out.
Couldn't do it.
He tried one valiant kick, and he tapped out, and you are not allowed to kick with the shoes on.
That was an illegal strike.
So it's the Russian Bear with the leg submission. Beneteau did not want to give up, but he had no choice, Don.
No. The only choice you have is to have your joint dislocated or a bone broken, which is no choice at all.
Good job. Good job.
I am just so impressed that technique has been the deciding factor in each of these. They're over quick. As soon as one of the grapplers gets a hold against the other one, it's over.
And I'm not sure what happened there, but you are not allowed to kick if you use shoes.
No, he can push, but he can't kick.
That's correct. I don't know if that was an illegal or legal blow, but after he made that effort with the kick, he tapped out. Don, let's take a look back.
I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a takedown. They lock up. He goes down, and Oleg goes right for the leg immediately. Now, from here, it's a matter of Oleg taking him down. Right, here he goes. He's going to get him down, break him down, get him on the ground, get him on his back. As we said, he was the master finisher. Here he's going against the knee. You can see that. At this point, there's nothing that Beneteau can do. That's illegal. I think it was an act of desperation. There goes the tap.
Our final quarterfinal matchup. The giant killer, Keith Hackney, against the man of the streets, the favorite in the ultimate, unofficially, Marco Ruas. Go Goins to tell us more about these two master martial artists.
Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth and final match of the first round. Two great fighters. Please welcome from Medina, Illinois. He's the practitioner of White Tiger Kempo Karate, a second-degree black belt in Kempo, a second-degree black belt in Tang Sudo, and a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, with a record of 12-0 in amateur boxing, 11 by knockout, 2-1 in the octagon, 37 years old, 5'11", 200. You know him as the Giant Killer, Keith Hackney. And his opponent is 6'1", 218 pounds, four-time Brazilian Muay Thai champion, state heavyweight boxing champion, Brazilian Vale Tudo champion, undefeated in bare-knuckle matches, 3-0 in the octagon, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the king of the streets and reigning ultimate fighting champion, Marco Ruas!
Hackney came in at 200 pounds. Here's a look at the discipline description. Kempo Karate Vale Tudo. In terms of age, Hackney is 37. Ruas is somewhere in his 30s. He says Brazilian men are like American women. They don't like to tell their ages. The height differential, Ruas with a slight advantage. As far as weight is concerned, Ruas has 18 pounds. It is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil against Roselle, Illinois.
Both look well conditioned. Hackney looks like he's put on some upper body power. I'm not sure if that helps hand speed or not. Don, you know more about that.
Well, actually, it doesn't have much to do with it. It's all technique in boxing, and it's looking to me like it's technique at the UFC also.
Ruas says he's got a great right hand. He's not just a guy who wants to end up on the mat. Let's see if we'll see it tonight.
And he had a broken finger, which we didn't know about. I did make that comment when I saw him looking and flexing his fingers during one of his fights at UFC 7.
Well,
he did not punch very much with that right hand at all.
He tried another leg kick, which was successful before.
And Hafty counters with a leg kick.
This is turning into more of a Hackney-type fight. He wants to stay in there and duke it out with a striker.
And oftentimes Hackney comes racing across the octagon to try to make a big first move. He didn't get caught out trying to do that against Huas, Don.
No, I think these guys, you know, they're getting more and more cautious in the beginning, which is a sign of a professional. They don't just come out right off the bat and throw their best arsenal. They set things up.
Remember that Huas went after Big Paul Varlins with those leg kicks in the last UFC and eventually wore down the polar bear.
Right, well, he's got some Thai boxing experience, and that leg kick, hitting with the shin to the thigh, is one of their best techniques.
A long feeling out process here. Few leg kicks from each guy.
And there's no real aggression. No one fighter here wants to take too many steps towards the other. There's circling. That's what we do in wrestling to obliterate a head-on charge, is to counter by getting angle. And here you don't see any one of these two fighters chasing the other, thus setting up a strike coming back the other way.
Hackney missing with the wild right hand. And now Huas goes after Hackney, gets him up against the fence, trying to take him down.
Behind him now.
Huas trying to get a choke.
Anytime they get behind an opponent, Vale Tudo says go for the choke.
Great strength by Hackney, fending him off momentarily.
Well, from here, I think it's Huas' advantage on the ground like this.
I think it's going to be over here. I think he's going to eventually work that choke in.
And he punches to the back of the head a couple times. Huas landing a big left hand.
He used his left hand to do it. He didn't use his right. And I think that might have been just to get Hackney to try to move and thus open up the area around the neck for that choke.
Don, it may look effective, but it could really hurt the hand, can't it?
Well, if he punches the skull, but if he hits the back of the neck, which I think that's where Huas is going, there's a muscle back there, and if he causes damage there, I think Hackney will release and let him get the choke.
He's working it in now. He's working it in now.
It's going to be a submission.
There it is.
That's it.
Anytime in Vale Tudo, they go for the choke when they're on their opponent's back.
Beautifully done by Marco Huas. And he bows to the crowd. Hackney with a big hug, a great sign of respect. Hackney looked really tough. Came out amazingly cut up. But when it came down to the ground, it was Huas' advantage.
That's right, versatility is where it's at. And Marcos Huas is well-versed in all aspects of fighting. And I think for the uninformed or uneducated public, there's great honor between great martial artists, and you saw it there at the end of the fight.
I think we've been seeing it all night. I think each fighter has shown concern for his opponent and respect after each bout. These guys are not brutes.
Marco Huas wins this one in 2 minutes and 39 seconds. You know, it seemed like a lot longer than that, didn't it, Don? I mean, they were around the ring, the octagon, for quite a while.
Well, I think it was the nervous anticipation. We were waiting for something to happen.
Here's a look at some of the action.
Well, here, once Huas has got Keith on the ground, and he's behind him, he's in control. He uses his legs to basically neutralize Keith's legs, and he just works that choke in. You know, here he softens him up with a few solid shots to the same spot and gets that arm under Keith's neck.
And here's the tap out.
There it is. There's nothing Keith can do from there. With the leverage that he's using, here you can see there's no way Keith can strike. He can't roll. He's basically helpless here.
Look at the grapevine on Hackney's legs. His knees are above the ground. He cannot crawl. Huas just totally paralyzed him, kept working around that neck. And I have trained a little bit of Vale Tudo since I've been out here in Denver, and I picked up that cardinal rule that anytime they get on an opponent's back, they immediately look to choke. It is the most advantageous position to be in.
And Jeff, you trained against a guy who was well older than you, wasn't he?
Well, he was 65 years old, and he opened my eyes that wrestling is not an end in itself.
All right, the bracket unfolds this way right now. Tank Abbott with the tap out. Minute 14, Steve Denham tapped out, Abbott advanced. Then Dan Severn with a choke. Garland's tapped out at 101. He advances, so it's Abbott against Severin in one semifinal. Oleg Taktarov, leg lock submission at 122, moves to the semis to meet Marco Huas, the master of the streets. 2 minutes and 39 seconds to choke the measure of success.
And who broke UFC wide open, giving Royce Gracie the fight of his life. He goes by one name, Chemo. Welcome to the Ultimate.
Thanks a lot. Before I answer any questions, the first thing I want to say is praise to my Lord Jesus Christ.
Are you looking forward to coming back to the UFC?
I'm very much so. I've been training hard, and I think the folks are going to see a different Chemo this time. Got a little haircut also.
How has your fighting changed since the last time you set foot in the octagon?
I've been working on techniques. Instead of just straight up street brawler, I started actually doing a little technical workouts now.
What did you learn from your bout with Gracie?
I learned you got to be in a little bit better condition than I thought, and I learned it's more a sport than just a brawl, which I thought it was before.
How about the hair?
The hair was definitely a big deal in that fight.
Yeah, he used it as a handle, and he took advantage of it. Would you want a rematch?
I don't look too far ahead. I'm just looking at this fight right now.
Tell us about the tournament you just fought in Hawaii.
I just fought in this thing, Pancreation, which is actually, if you look back to the first and second Olympics, it's a sport back then, but they don't have it anymore. It's similar to Ultimate, except you wear little gloves, and basically the same rules, which is no rules.
And what are your thoughts here about the fighters in the Ultimate?
I mean, what can I say? If you guys are watching these fights, these are probably the best fights I've seen in the Ultimate.
How has martial arts changed since the UFC has come about?
I think martial arts now is going towards a sport where before it was just people looked at it as just straight ahead and doing little exercises. Now people are training at it as a sport, well-rounded, as you know, you got to have stand-up and ground fighting. Whereas before people just concentrated on blocks and different things.
Well, we look forward to you joining us at UFC 8, Chemo. Welcome back.
Thanks a lot.
We're back to you, Bruce.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. Chemo looks ready, a little bit humble tonight. It will be him against Shamrock in Super Fight 8. This is our first semifinal battle. Oh, what a battle it is. The Tank against Dan Severin. And this is one that the people were talking about on their way in tonight. If it would unfold, the Beast and the Tank, two guys with a very ferocious approach to fighting. We are getting set for the formal introduction of the fighters. Severin against Tank Abbott. Let's go up to the G-Man, Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first semifinal match of the evening in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Ultimate. Please welcome back 6 foot, 280 pounds, an expert in pit fighting. He's 2-1 in the octagon, 7-0 in bare knuckle pit fights. The UFC 6 finalist, Tank Abbott. And his opponent, a specialist in Greco-Roman wrestling, a finalist in UFC 4, super fight combatant in UFC 6, and UFC 5 champion, 5-2 in the octagon, 6'2", 260, from Coldwater, Michigan, Daniel the Beast Severn.
So it is pit fighting, whatever that is, against wrestling.
Well, you know, I'm from California myself. Now, you know, Orange County, Huntington Beach, that's a pretty nice little area. I never heard of pit fighting down there, so I'm not sure how much validity there is to that.
Severin had 7 years on the Tank Man. Height, not much of a difference there. Weight, Severin's listed at 250. He's really down to about 238. Tank came down in his last bout from 265 to 250. Semifinals of the Ultimate. $150,000 to the winner, $25,000 to the runner-up. The winner of this bout is guaranteed $25 grand.
You ready? Are you ready?
Tell you what, this is going to come down to the grappling skills of both those. If Severin can dominate, he won't have to deal with those punches of Dave Abbott. but Abbott has been doing a lot of grappling. There you can see it. He was prepared for a shot from Severn, sprawl position.
Tank trying to get that left hand free.
Oh, knee to the head.
Severn works him back up against the octagon fence.
This might be the most powerful, talented individual that the Tank has gone up against.
Absolutely. I don't think he's faced someone with this much technique and experience because those titles of Severn, they're legit.
Oh, down goes Abbott. Severn elected not to pound away with him with an elbow. He was looking for some kind of submission move instead. Now he needs him. Now the right hand begins to land. And the elbow to the back of Tank's head.
You know, Dan would be ill-advised not to do that punching. He's going to break a knuckle, break his hand. He's going to limit him.
Elbow to the head of Abbott again.
The elbow's a much better bet. He should be using the knees again.
Just pick one spot. He's hitting that glove, though. He's hitting that glove, it seems. Tank absorbing punishment, stuck on the ground. The wrestler keeping the brawler down right now.
Tank showing a tremendous chin.
Well, Dan looks like he's going under that chin with a hold here, a chokehold, but he's under the arm.
Knees to the head by Severn.
Let's see if he goes to the choke now.
I'm impressed with Severn striking with the knees and the elbows. He's really come a long way for a traditional wrestler.
Severn pushes Tank up against the chain link fence.
Can Severn punch himself out, going after him so hard right now? That'll be a big question. You see it in boxing here, you have no rounds to catch your breath. Once you get tired, it's all over. But it just doesn't seem that Tank can get off his side.
Well, I feel like an experienced grappler can pace himself and go as long as he needs to. A man like Dan Severn's not going to wear himself out.
Tank Abbott continues to absorb punishment and continues to show his mettle. Severn elbow again.
Oh, that one had a bounce.
Wow.
That was clean to the back of the head. That was clean to the back of the head. And Tank's still fighting, but he's in a bad position here for trying to get off his stomach. He's not going to the guard position, which is really surprising. That allows all these unanswered blows to take place.
Severn is really punishing Abbott.
This could be a submission right here. Oh, no.
Well, it was a good thought there, Don. It's exactly what he was looking for. He was looking for the choke. Just like Valet Tudo, once you have a man's back to you, it's very easy to work for the throat.
Severn did not punch in UFC 5. He came back to win the next one. We're actually 4 and 5. Trying to unleash the beast again tonight. Abbott hanging on and getting hammered again to the back of the head.
I think Severn might have punched himself out a little bit here. He's reluctant to throw blows.
He's not a powerful striker, and it looks like he's learning his lesson not to punch the skull. You're just going to break your knuckles. And the slaps are not going to cause a submission of any kind.
There, the elbow and the forearm, that might have its effect.
Another elbow. Another elbow.
The Tank is helpless. He can't get off his base. He's stuck on his knees. Severn, using wrestling skills, is keeping him there. You can see Severn hanging on to the fence. The reason he's doing that is to not let Abbott out in the open. He's keeping him pinned and punched up. But if Abbott is not being hurt by these strikes...
I feel Dan should be going for a choke. This is
counterproductive?
Well, not counterproductive, but it's not really producing the result that he wants.
It's inefficient, isn't it?
Right.
Lots of energy, not a lot of effect.
Can Tank work himself out of this? Can he continue to absorb the punishment and still have something left, guys?
We don't know how badly he's hurt. He's not trying to move. We've seen people lay there, but you can see him, that bothers him, catching those strikes to the back of the neck.
That one got through. Severn again with the elbow, punching to the head.
Well, if this was, let's just say this goes to a draw. Certainly, Dan Severn has a lot of points in his favor.
He'll win. He'll win if it's a draw because he's definitely taking the fight to Tank. I mean, Tank is just staying in one spot. He's not really, it doesn't appear that he's actually trying to get out of it. He's just content to absorb punishment.
5 minutes in, this is an 18-minute time limit. And then it would go to the judges.
Oh, that was a good elbow. Stretching his body that way is making those ribs come out and torque, and that elbow has to be doing some damage.
It is, but not the kind of damage it could do if you get your body behind it. These are what you would call arm punches and arm strikes. They're not with the weight of the body and the torque of the hips and the shoulder. These have a cumulative effect, but there's not going to be a punch knockout from this distance.
Tank on his side, not going to any kind of a guard, leaving his back turned to the opponent. And you would think Severn would want to choke, but perhaps he feels that if he goes for the head, it might allow Abbott to get up off his belly, and obviously Abbott on his feet is a lot more dangerous.
Tank continues to hang in.
Well, I think he needs to get that arm around, get it around there, get the other arm out, get it under his chin, and force a submission.
Tank's doing his best to defend that choke.
Severn, on the other hand, now, after expending enormous amount of energy with all these strikes, he's still trying to do it, but he's got to be tired. I would tend to think, use your wrestling skills, continue to keep the weight on Abbott, making him have to work harder to carry away. Oh, a good right hand there.
And another pounce to the head. Now with a choke. Severn couldn't get it.
He's just not a good finisher when it comes to choke.
There's the corner, and that is R.T. Hamilton, who is a professor at Grand Canyon University, where Dan Severn trained the past several months. The only program in America, martial arts degree, either as a major or a minor. He's an ordained minister.
It's at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. It's where Severn spent a lot of his time training. Tank Abbott was up in Utah. Let's see now if Tank's going to make a move to try to come up. Severn, smart as he is, using his wrestling skill to keep him pinned up against the fence. He is not going to let Abbott off of his side. He sees this as an advantage position. He'd rather keep him down, sort of like keeping Joe Montana off the field. Don't let him on the field, you win. Don't let Abbott up off the ground.
Well, you know,
Severn's in a good position.
There's a saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Now, I believe it was Tank that had Jenham up against these ropes the same way. And now he's pinned up against the ropes, or excuse me, the fence. It's kind of like deja vu.
Severn talking to his corner as he works. Kneeing Abbott, kneeing him again to the head.
Those are effective strikes there. Those are effective.
Severn continue to work on the Tank.
They're effective, but I don't think any of them were really clean. Yes, they had some impact to them. Now, those are good. Those sharp forearms, they'll take their toll. There are no cuts. There is no blood.
8 minutes left. Let's go.
But it seems as though Severn's a little befuddled. The only thing that's working for him is keeping him down. He's going for what we call a power Nelson there. He's lifting on the elbow, torquing on Abbott's left shoulder. He needs to continue to arch his back. Not good enough position. Broke the hold.
Tank hanging in there. We can see his eyes looking up. Perhaps frustrated, but not giving up.
Well, the blows he has received, although they look vicious, have not been with the weight of the body behind them. Therefore, they're causing superficial damage, but not the brain damage that you get from a boxing punch. A boxing or a kickboxing punch causes tremendous brain damage, but Tank is basically just suffering superficial damage.
But Tank said he could wrestle with anyone in the world. He was a world-class wrestler. Thus far, he has not been able to show us that level of skill.
God, it's not the superficial type treatment that I'd like to take.
I didn't say it wasn't painful or effective. I just meant it wasn't the concussion that you get from a boxing punch.
Would you go ahead and knee the thigh here, Don? He's protecting his upper half. Would you go to the legs, hit the legs to open up the upper half?
Very good point, because as you remember, Hujas won his fight by kicking to Barlin's thigh. That thigh is a very big, meaty part of the body that you can cause a lot of pain to.
Certainly it would limit Abbott's mobility. putting in a big Charlie horse, a hematoma somewhere just above the knee.
Well, I tell you, for the past 10 minutes, Abbott has not been very mobile, regardless.
Under 8 minutes to go, and if it ends up with no time remaining for the first time in the UFC, we have 3 judges who will render a decision.
Well, I would call this the reverse guard. I mean, he is just not turning to face Severn at all. And Dan Severn, unable to apply a choke of any kind, is a little bit frustrated, continues to rain strikes, mainly elbows and open palm slaps.
Is Dan better off here just trying to ride out the Tank?
Exactly.
Rather than use up his strength and also possibly hurt his hands?
I think that's what he's trying to do. Tank is just not well enough versed on how to get off that base and get to a standing position. The best thing he could do would be to try to turn Dan and face him. Thus, Dan's weight now is up on his hips. He might be able to roll him to the side, clear him off of him long enough to turn and face him.
Jeff, does it expend more energy just riding him out or trying to keep punching away and trying to finish?
I would say throwing these kinds of strikes that he's doing is spending much more energy than it would take Dan to just use wrestling skills to keep Tank Abbott down. But without a doubt, Abbott's got to get off his belly. To do so, he has to not only pick up his own weight, but Dan Severn's as well.
I can see right now that if this fight continues this way, Tank Abbott will lose a decision by the judges because he is not making a legitimate attempt to escape. He is just laying on his stomach with his hands on the back of his head trying to protect himself, but not really making an effort to escape.
6:20 to go, and then it will go to the judges.
And this is the one question we had about Tank Abbott. He hadn't gone up against a real skilled fighter yet. Dan Severn is very first, using wrestling skills, got the Tank down, the beast in control. And at this point, I would say my strategy, if I were in Severn's shoes, would be to keep Tank down. Never mind these strikes. Wait, gather energy, and if an opening presents itself, then hit him with a good strike.
Right, I think we're seeing the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. Obviously, Dan Severn's not mastered the finishing moves that he needs in grappling to get that choke in there, lock it in there, and get that submission. Because he's got Tank in a very vulnerable position, but he's just not able to finish him.
There's Dan Severn's corner. And, you know, the one thing that Dan does not want to do is get caught up in a situation here where he's not working enough, where there's a restart, and John McCarthy puts them back on their feet. That would give Tank a chance, so he's got to still work.
I saw the first offensive technique by Tank. He tried to sneak in a little reverse headbutt there.
And he did snap that head up well.
Right, that's the first offensive technique I've seen.
Oh, elbow got through, was affected by Severn. Dan trying to open up Tank for a choke, but not much doing, and Tank using those gloves to defend his head.
I actually think Dan could spin to the front so that his body isn't laying across Abbott. He could get more into those strikes. That headbutt caught Dan. That headbutt caught Dan. In fact, Dan might have a welt on his forehead there. I see a red spot on his forehead.
Don, in boxing, we call it the chin. What about Tank's chin in the octagon?
Well, his chin hasn't been tested yet in the octagon. I think Dan has hit everything but his chin.
But I'm talking more about a chin being
just the ability,
a term that we used in boxing to describe
ability to absorb punishment.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he's proven himself able to absorb punishment. You know, as a fighter, I wouldn't call that a good thing. You know, I never want it to be said about me, wow, that Wilson could take a punch.
Coming up on 4 minutes left of this semifinal match.
I think Severn has settled for that first strategy. He's going to be the wrestler, keep Abbott down at this point. In this respect, knowing that there's 3 judges, it's a big advantage for Dan Severn. Right. He knows all he has to do is stalemate out now. Keep it a draw. Don't let Abbott up. He doesn't have to finish Abbott. He's got enough points now in the judges' eyes to win. I shouldn't say points. Enough aggressive tactics and striking, ground attack, and aggressiveness that he should win this.
He's got it all. He's won in all 3 categories.
Aggressiveness, best strikes, and ground techniques, the 3 categories. And the 3 guys that are the judges are all guys who know the martial arts game.
And if he is now knowing he's going to win it that way, I would tend to want to save my energy for the finals. Thus, stop striking. Let's go ahead. Just ride him out. Tie him up. immobilize him, don't allow the tank to move. He won't attrit any more energy. That's the best tactic for performing well in the finals.
Absolutely. Jeff, as a grappler, being on the bottom and not being able to do something, what about the frustration?
Right there, this one-on-one now. I thought he might just lay on it to keep the tank down.
Tank gets himself to his feet. Under 3 minutes left, he grips onto the chain. And an elbow to Severin's head. A reverse headbutt by Tank.
Dan is too close to him to have any effect for those strikes.
Abbott's got something left in his tank.
The Beast hanging on. The Tank trying to get going.
And now the crowd begins to chant Tank. Severin trying to chop him back down to the ground.
Come on, Tank, let's go, man, let's go.
The fact that he's putting his head against that post, I'm wondering, is Tank really fatigued at this point? Carrying all that weight for that amount of time, that's going to really drain your batteries.
We've seen fighters use the fence before, but not in an offensive way, just as a stalling tactic, and that seems to be what this Tank is doing now.
Under 2 minutes to go.
It's clear at this point, I don't think Tank has it left. As long as Severin does not leave his head open for one of those elbows to come flying around from the Tank, he should do all right.
Right.
It looks as though, looking at Tank's face, you can see his eyes are a little bit glassy. He is tired.
And he's absorbed a lot of punishment. Again, he tries to throw that elbow, but Severin counters with the knee to the back of the thigh.
And this was right when we said Severin should just stay behind it and immobilize him. He did that one-on-one, a wrestling move, trying to isolate Tank's arm. And that allowed Tank the opportunity to get up off of his stomach to his knees, did a quick stand-up, but he's been unable to improve position from here.
This is mile-high altitude here in Denver. And when this fight is over, Tank is going to just collapse.
1 minute, come on, let's go. 1 minute.
Well, he may collapse before the end.
Looks like Severin's looking at a front head or a full Nelson there for a second.
Severin cannot afford to make an error now. If it goes to the cards, the judges will render a decision not based on points, just on a winner. Abbott trying to do something with 30 seconds to go.
He's doing his best just to stay on his feet. Severin, though, excellent at his grappling skills, not allowing the Tank to be able to pivot in any way to bring any of those big weapons to bear.
Tank gets free, but time is running out. Severin's just got to be careful not to hit by one big right hand.
He should circle which way, Don, to keep from that right hand.
That's it. That is it. Clock is over. Semifinals will go to the judges' cards. Listen to this crowd. Determination of Severin, heart of Abbott.
Well, I don't know what's louder, either the boos for Tank or the cheers for Severin.
3 judges will render the decision. Ernest Hart, former 4-time PKA welterweight kickboxing champion. John Little, associate publisher of Inside Karate, Inside Kung Fu, Inside Taekwondo magazine, and Michael D. Pasquale, editor and publisher. And there's the decision. It's unanimous for Severin. D. Pasquale, the editor and publisher of International Karate magazine. And all 3 give the decision, and I would think you would think the same way at home, to Dan Severin.
Well, I think we saw the strength of Dan Severin, but we've also seen the weakness, his inability to finish. And I like the way he continually was looking for an opening for a strike. But there again, I think he needs a little more experience of which strike to use when.
And one thing I'm impressed with is he kept it going the whole time. He didn't slow down. Severin is in great shape.
Absolutely.
The Beast is back.
Oh, he trained and trained hard at Grand Canyon University. He said, I had to separate from my family. I had to put business first. I don't have much time left. My opportunity is waning. Well, guys, our next fight is another one on paper that could go the limit. Marco Ruas and Oleg Taktarov. Taktarov just does not understand the word quit. At least he hasn't in any way in the UFC. He's been in serious shape, and the only time that he was ever stopped was John McCarthy stepping in once against Dan Severn and saying that he was too bloodied, but Oleg would never have submitted. That's not his style. It's Ruas against Taktarov. And so it is Vale, Tudo, and Sambo. Taktarov is 28 years of age. Ruas is somewhere in his 30s. We would, educated guess would say under 35.
Look at these two athletes. They're not butt jumping around. They're not moving around. They're sitting there. They understand what they have to do. Two composed fighters.
There's Oleg's fan club. We're set for the introduction of the fighters. Here's Rich Go-Go Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for our second semifinal match of the evening. Welcome back, a specialist in the grappling style known as Sambo, a 4th degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, Russian national Sambo champion, semifinalist from UFC 5, and the Ultimate Fighting champion of UFC 6, 4-1-1 in the octagon, 6 foot, 210 pounds, from Gorky, Russia, the Russian Bear, Oleg Taktarov. And his opponent, 6'2", 220 pounds. His specialty is Brazilian Vale Tudo, a Brazilian Vale Tudo champion, Brazilian heavyweight boxing champion, and the reigning UFC champion, Marco Ruas. Rock and roll.
At the Mammoth Gardens in the altitude of Denver, Colorado, it is Ruas against Taktarov in the semis.
You ready?
Referee Big John McCarthy.
Let's get it on!
There's his face. Let's get it on. The winner to take on Severn.
This will be a chess match. It'll be interesting to see. Oleg sometimes will go toe-to-toe, even with the likes of Tank Abbott. And at the same time, Marco Ruas has some good boxing skills, but I believe their strengths lie in their ground attacks, and I think that's eventually where this fight will end up.
Well, I don't think the Bear better stay on his feet, because I don't think he can match Ruas's striking techniques, boxing or kicking.
Once again, the two fighters circling, looking for an opportunity, feeling out process. Kick by Ruas, momentarily Taktarov shot away.
Oh, a little bit of a Marco not shaking his head saying, no way, not going to take me down. Nice double leg attempt there. But certainly faking the shoot and then coming up top with strikes. Great tactic, mixing levels. We do that in wrestling all the time. Change levels to unbalance your opponent, create openings, and certainly Don, hitting from different levels will open that up as well.
Right, you know, one thing I like about these two fighters is this is the first time I've seen some feinting going on. These guys are feinting each other to get them off guard. They're not just going all out with a technique.
A kick by Ruas.
It's certainly not a wild brawl by any means. These two are calculated.
It's a chess match.
Two of the best tacticians in the UFC. There's the kick from Ruas. One of his effective blows.
Well, Oleg was looking to grab it. He does want to bring it down to the ground.
Right, I can see some damage on Oleg's left leg already from that roundhouse kick. Ruas is the only one that really can throw a decent roundhouse kick to the leg. And that's not a safe bet because it can go to the head just as easily. While you're reaching down there to grab it, it can go right to the back of the head. These are Thai boxing techniques.
Seems Oleg's trying to crowd him up near the fence, keeping his back to the center of the octagon. There it is. You see he's tired of chasing him.
Right. That's the mistake, if you remember, Varlan's made against Ruas. And that front leg, if you look, there's discoloration already on Oleg's left leg.
2 minutes, 15 seconds in. And Oleg looks like he messed up his brace there momentarily. Reset that right knee brace. No braces are allowed, just those neoprene sleeves.
Well, let's go. Let's get it going. Come on.
Oleg coming in, gets Huas up against the back of the fence.
Now it'll be close-in fighting. Elbows, knees, headbutts.
And possibly foot stomps. Remember, Huas has those size 13 feet, and he used those foot stomps in the last UFC.
Come on, let's work. Come on, Oleg.
Here's the chest match. Little side shot there to the head by Taktarov.
Right, they both know to stay very tight on each other to keep those strikes from being effective.
There's the foot stomping. Oleg looking down, trying to see where his feet are now. We saw this in UFC 7.
Yep, he got his attention and hurry.
And there's a cut now over Taktarov's right eye.
And it's just to it's around the bridge of the nose, closer to the right eye, and Huas lands a left, and it got the spot. And that means more blood. And Oleg has been cut before, and cuts tend to open more frequently.
He went for the leg. He went for Huas's leg.
Huas knows this. Huas knows all about this. The key will be now the better ground attack specialist. Valet Dugo against Sambo.
Work it.
A classic matchup of grappling skills.
Taktarov is cut. And that blood will start to stream a little bit.
I would give the advantage here to Huas simply because he is in the mounted position, and I don't think Taktarov on his back against a person well-versed in ground attack will be as effective.
Chopping shots to the midsection by Huas.
Well, he's not just more versed, he's more experienced, he's stronger. I mean, Huas has definitely got the advantage here.
Taktarov gets to his feet.
Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Using the fence to bring himself up. He took punishment.
Yes, he did.
To get to his feet.
That's something Tank was not able to do in 15 minutes.
Taktarov took 2 shots to the belly, accepted it, grabbed the fence, and pulled himself up, and now they're in a restart position.
To the goal. Come on, let's go.
Marco wants Taktarov to follow him. Marco is not going to chase him. Look at him. He's circling. Neither fighter is taking a step forward now.
Marco is breathing a little heavily.
He seemed to breathe hard at UFC 7 as well.
Now see, this shows the inexperience of dealing with the leg kick. All he needs to do is lift his knee up on the inside of Marco's leg, and he can actually do damage to Marco if he tries that leg kick. But Oleg is a grappler. He's not experienced at blocking that Thai leg kick.
And there was a question, that rumor, was his knee okay? We have seen no problem with his mobility.
Let's get it going.
Must have just been what I said it was, a rumor.
Another kick by Huas. In this, the white knuckle event, the bare knuckle competition, the ultimate. The winner guaranteed $25,000. The winner tonight gets $150,000.
That was very ineffective strike because you're right. When you hit with the foot, it does no damage to the thigh. You've got to hit with the shin.
Huas again, effective double leg counter. Taktarov trying to shoot. Huas with the sprawl.
Huas is content to stay on the feet.
Oleg missed.
He knows he's a better striker. He knows he will take that leg out eventually.
Get working.
And Oleg is waiting for it now.
Oleg landed a thunderous left. Another right. Huas checked his mouthpiece and got nailed.
And this is Taktarov's favorite position. It's the choke.
He's got him in it. It could be a tap out pretty soon.
Taktarov working the choke.
Huas is experienced.
Look at how calm Huas is.
Right.
He's not thrashing, which only sinks the choke tighter. Eventually, Taktarov's hold will be broken. He's going to get tired. That's a lot of arm power.
A lot of energy being expended. Let's keep this lock on.
The maturity of Huas just trying to be calm.
That's exactly what you have to be. They say take your time. And they said he had a neck of rubber. They said you could put him in the chokehold and it doesn't go. But obviously Taktarov is a master choker. But it seems Huas here is able to solve that. See how he's twisting the wrist, creating that gap. You can see a little bit of dark space near his chin. That's enough room for him to breathe.
Jeff, if you pull away, you only intensify the choke.
Exactly. You want to drive towards the head. Keep your body low. The more you raise yourself up, the more angle he has to sink that choke in.
10 minutes plus to go in this 18-minute round.
And unlike wrestling, Ruas can attack a finger. He can rip on one finger to go ahead and break the lock.
And there's the toes being used by Marco Ruas as a size 13 feet. And instead of stopping, he's using it as an outline.
That is Taktarov's foot on the fence. And he is using it trying to keep his balance, keep Marco Ruas from being able to go ahead and improve his position. But they've moved away from the fence now, but Taktarov relentless with that choke.
I think he's going to have to release that. I don't think he's going to be able to hang on. Even no matter how much endurance he has, he can't keep it indefinitely.
That is correct, and there he broke the lock. But he still has that arm sunk in there. What he's trying to get Ruas to do is to move, to try to improve his position, and he'll bring that right arm right back in there to try to sink the choke even more.
Got a warning, got two.
9 minutes, 15 seconds left. Marco Ruas, Oleg Taktarov. Taktarov trying to win the choke out. Referee John McCarthy will restart the action. He has the prerogative to do that.
Bad break for Oleg. Bad break for Oleg, John.
And now he wants the doctor. Referee John McCarthy wants Dr. Richard Istrigo, the medical advisor, to take a look at the cut.
Doesn't look bad.
Doesn't look bad. Well, the bad break for me was when they forced Oleg to release that hold. I mean, you know, I don't know if he's going to be able to get that back in on Ruas.
Cutman Leon Tabs tries to clean away, and he has been given the green light to continue.
You ready? You ready? Get back in the
We saw that against Renzo Pardue.
You ready? You ready?
Something was thrown in the ring into the octagon. I don't know if the fighters see it, but John McCarthy clears out one piece. And now we are back in action with 8:40 left. Referee is the authority to stop the fight with the advice of the ringside physician.
It's the first time we ever saw debris thrown into the octagon. That's very unfortunate. Two class athletes laying it on the line for this crowd. They really shouldn't be throwing stuff in there.
Now, as a striker, I can see right now that not only are these guys relatively open to the legs, they're very open to the body. But no one has gone to the body with a punch or a kick since I've been watching tonight. I'm not really sure why that is, but...
well, it's a lack of boxing skills, Don.
Well, not even boxing. I mean, you could draw a foot to the body, brings the hands down, you can land the punch to the face. But the fighters are not thinking in 2s and 3s. They're thinking in one move at a time, one punch, one strike.
And the beauty about going to the body is the accumulation of blows. If you can score off, it really works in a guy.
Absolutely. If you want to knock a guy out, you hit the body. If you kill the body, the head will fall.
And again, the chess match. Ruas circling left. Taktarov circling with him.
Taktarov's waiting for that kick. Every time Marco picks up that right leg, Oleg is waiting for it.
Well, he's not properly blocking it. What he needs to do is lift his knee up and move forward inside Ruas. And then his knee will actually strike Ruas' thigh and cause him damage. That's how you stop the leg kick, not by just coming forward and absorbing it.
A little blood underneath the lip of Ruas. Not a bad cut. Taktarov much more bloody.
Come on, let's get it working. Come on.
At some point here, one of these two, we're going to have to ask ourselves who would be ahead by the judges, and the person that feels he isn't ahead is going to have to become a little bit more desperate in their aggressiveness.
Well, you know, I would say at this point, the strikes, it would be Ruas, the grappling. Believe it or not, I think Oleg, having that choke in as close as he did, would be ahead on the grappling end.
Taktarov trying to put together a 1-2.
Right, he faked a little left hook, came in with the right hand, and that's what these guys need to do. If you want to strike, you need to put some combinations together, not one punch at a time.
Oleg said, no. In the middle of this fierce battle, a cute little antidote.
It almost seems that Marco Ruas' disposition never changes. The expression on his face remains constant, never letting his opponent see whether or not he's hurt, anxious, or frustrated.
Come on, Devil, let's work, let's go! Get it moving!
What are the judges thinking, guys, right now?
Well, this is a big mistake by Oleg to bend over and try to grab that leg after the fact. I mean, I've seen fighters do that a million times in kickboxing matches, and it always ends up bad. If Ruas has a roundhouse kick to the head, he could take Tatarov out right now. Fake to the leg, go right up to the head.
Oh, an exchange there.
And Oleg looking to counter with the right hand.
And here Oleg wants to be the puncher. He's given up on those leg shots, trying to take Ruas down. It doesn't seem that he wants to rush Marco and try to close the distance, thus to force a grappling game. It's very interesting here. Where is Oleg's tactic coming from? What is his strategy? Seems Ruas here just wants to sit away.
Come on, Marco! 5 minutes, 10 seconds left in this 18-minute time limit. If we end up in no time on the clock, 3 judges render a decision. And the winner takes on Dan Severn for the ultimate title.
You know, it takes about 5 minutes to teach a fighter how to block a leg kick. And I can't understand why, after watching Ruas win with a leg kick, that Oleg had not prepared for it a little better. He has not blocked one properly yet. Actually, when a man goes to your leg, that's the time he should throw a punch, because Ruas will be on one foot, and at that point, they can't do anything. So if he throws up a kick, you block it, come in with a punch. That's what Oleg should be doing.
Come on, Marco! They've been on their feet circling now for 3 or 4 minutes.
They seem at a loss as to how to really launch an effective offense from this position.
Jeff, does it behoove either fighter here to make a move based on where he thinks he might stand with the judges?
I think that's really right now where the fight stands, is how they interpret it and who's going to be desperate feeling they're behind.
How do you interpret it?
It's too close to call. I think the aggressiveness factor is the one thing we don't know. You have leg strikes and some punches from Ruas, but I really don't know. There's an attack now.
I say the aggressor is Oleg. Those leg kicks are counters to Oleg trying to corner Ruas. And I would give the aggressiveness to Oleg right now at this point.
And Oleg also had the choke move.
He had the choke. He had an effective grappling technique that the referee ended up breaking. But in the old rules, that would not have happened.
I question how effective that choke was. It was not a choke. It was a hold close to a choke. So does that count as a choke? Ruas was never threatened. He breathed the whole time. He was in a guard position, which we've seen many times. And the guard is what determines whether or not there's no action.
And ground techniques are being judged on both defensive as well as offensive.
You can't win a fight the way Ruas is fighting right now, just moving around, basically just avoiding a conflict. He's just avoiding the fight. He's not using techniques to set something up that could do damage. He's just countering with the leg kick and avoiding. Oleg has shot for takedowns. He's come in with some big punches. Here he tries to get a very risky move, very risky. And look, Ruas still does not want to fight.
Who would have ever thought this fight would be on its feet for this long?
I'm really shocked.
The question will be, do the judges see Ruas as being the non-aggressor, and certainly whether or not that chokehold, which has really been the only ground attack that Tatarov has had, as being effective?
Well, if nothing else, Jeff, it did have the potential for damage.
I agree.
Even though it was not locked in yet, but it looked like something might have happened.
A good leg kick by Ruas.
He set it up by faking the right hand, and when Tatarov backed his body away, went ahead, took the shot.
But look who brings the fight to who. Look who's bringing the fight.
At this point, there's no doubt. Oleg is now chasing him.
He's shooting for takedowns. He's throwing left hooks. He's trying to fight. If Oleg started backing out the way Ruas is fighting, what would we be watching? 2 men avoiding each other. I'm not a judge, but my unofficial, up to this point,
ooh, nice attempt.
My unofficial decision is it's Oleg's fight. I don't know what Ruas is thinking. I don't know what his strategy is at this point.
But he's not taking the fight to Oleg.
Absolutely.
A little over a minute
to go. If Oleg starts doing what he does, we're going to be having an audience fall asleep out here. Oleg is taking the fight. He's taking chances. He's shot with a leg. Takedown. He's shot almost with a football takedown.
And as usual, he's bloody in the face area.
Very dangerous move by Oleg, and Ruas still does not want to mix it up. He must have felt something on the inside there grappling that he didn't like.
But it's interesting, if a person wants to go to the ground and the other chooses not to, is that a sign of non-aggression? These are the questions that having judges will bring to bear.
Well, not if that person wants to stand up and strike, but Ruas isn't doing that either. If you don't want to go to the ground and grapple, and you don't want to duke it out, what do you want to do out there?
Right hand by Oleg.
Well, I would say there are some strikes there. Taktarov's face bears that measure.
That's right. Taktarov is drenched, his face in his own blood. Ruas' body drenched in his own sweat. The final second, it's over. And it will go to the judges.
The scar tissue on Taktarov, I think I can slap him in the face and cause him to bleed. I don't take that as damage.
He's been cut so many times before in the UFC. And so it will go to the judges for a second time tonight. Ernest Hart, John Little, Michael D. Pasquale Jr.
I'm not a judge, but you know what my opinion is. I've seen 1,000 fights.
We will wait for the official decision. The winner takes out Severn.
You can't win a fight. You don't want an ultimate champion who doesn't come to fight. You can't have that. And Oleg came to fight, and I did not see that tonight in Ruas.
There's Leon Tabbs, the well-known cut man who has worked for so many world champions. Leon does a marvelous job in the UFC, 30 years in the fight game from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and there is a unanimous call from the judges. Taktarov, Taktarov, Taktarov.
Oleg Taktarov!
It will be Taktarov against Severn in the final, and Oleg is in tears, I believe. Joins me now, and it's Kimo against Shamrock. What are your early thoughts?
Well, you know, Kimo's big and strong, and he's dangerous, so it's just like these rest of these guys. You know, you got to go in here mentally and physically prepared to fight, because none of these guys are easy, none of them. And when you step into that octagon, you better have your thinking cap on, and you better have your physical shape in top condition. These guys are tough.
Do you like the super fight format?
Yes, I do. I fought in many, many tournaments earlier in my career, and I earned the right to be in a super fight. And I fought Hoyes to a draw, and the title was pushed over into, the title was unheld, so I fought Dan Severn, and I beat Dan Severn, so I won the title. And I fought Oleg and went to a draw. I still had the title, so I kept the title. So, you know, I've earned that spot, and until I lose it, I'm staying.
Ken, what about tonight? What are your thoughts, first of all, on how quickly the quarterfinals went?
Well, you know, I kind of expected that, except for one of them. But, you know, these guys are so good when they step into the ring that at any given moment, anybody makes a mistake, the fight could be over. If you notice, all the preliminary fights were won by submission except for Dan Severns, and that went to a draw. But all the other ones were hooked. They were hooked.
All right, what about the second round? As we advance to the finals, both had to go to the judges, which is a new concept for the UFC. Number one, do you like the judges' format? Number two, what did you think of the fights?
Yeah, I like the judges' format because it's not fair when someone really fights hard and another person kind of backs off and just basically wastes his time and gets a draw, then basically both lose. And I don't think that's right, especially in this format when your time limit is pushed on you and you have to fight to a time limit. So I think the judges, you got to go with it. It creates controversy. It's good for it. You know, I didn't see any controversy in the fights tonight. They were all...
Well, Ruas complained and said that he got a bad deal. You agree or disagree?
No, I think what they were looking at is what Oleg looked like and what Ruas looked like. And if you were going to go by what someone looked like, of course, Ruas would have won the fight. But if you're going by strategy, aggressiveness, the man that was pushing the fight, the man that went to the ground, did have 2 submission holds on him, could have ended the fight at any time except Ruas got out. Just because he gets out of a hold doesn't mean that he wins the fight. It just means the other guy should have 2 points and the other guy doesn't have any. And as far as standing up, I think I gave Ruas just the edge, but not enough to win the fight.
Shamrock,
We're not going to the octagon. I got you right where I want you. The broadcast booth, pal. Ken Shamrock will join us for the championship fight. I know I got the advantage over you there, but we look forward to hearing your comments, so stay around.
Thank you, thank you.
So the championship fight is coming up in the Ultimate. It will be a rematch between Daniel the Beast Severin and Oleg Taktarov. Here's Rich Goins.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the match you've been waiting for. The finals of the Ultimate Fighting Championships. Ultimate. Brought to you by SCG Sports Corporation, and it pits two former champions of Ultimate Fight Championships. Our first fighter out of Coldwater, Michigan, 37 years old, 6'2", 250 pounds, a champion in Sambo, freestyle, and a Greco-Roman master, UFC 4 runner-up, and the UFC 5 champion. Please welcome back the Beast, Daniel Severn. And his opponent from Gorky, Russia, fighting out of California, a 4th-degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, 4-time European and Asian Jiu-Jitsu champion, Russian national judo champion, UFC 6 Ultimate Fighting champion, the Russian Bear, Oleg Taktarov.
Well, Taktarov said it's easier to fight a guy with technique. And he's fighting another guy with technique right now. He proved he could do it against Tuas. Now can he do it against Severin? Two guys who love to be on the mat. Severin, 10 years the senior of Oleg. Severin with a 2-inch height advantage outweighs Taktarov by probably only 13 pounds, considering he came in at 238. It's the U.S. against Russia. Here we go, final to the Ultimate.
We're beautiful, are you ready?
Dan the Speed Severin said, my window of opportunity is waning. The time is now.
It looks like Dan's trying to slap those wounds and open them up. It looks like he's slapping those wounds to open them up.
He sees it, he knows it, he understands it.
Do you think Oleg's want to pull him to the ground, Ken? Do you think he wants to go to his back?
Oh, absolutely.
A wrestler wants to get him down there, but it's a whole different world when you get down there.
I think what Dan wants to do is take him down into his advantage and not into Oleg's advantage. And so Dan's going to wait, slap him around a little bit, and I think he's going to shoot on him and try and scoop to the side and then drop some knees on him and some punches.
Do you think the guard is Taktarov's advantage, being in the guard, or do you think Severin, even if he's in the top position, being in the guard, do you think he can handle that and solve it?
Yeah, I don't think Dan is going to be able to solve the guard, only because he really doesn't understand what Oleg does with legs, because Oleg really hasn't showed anything.
Well, there's a kick by Oleg Taktarov.
Nice pop, huh?
Not bad. We saw what Huas could do with the leg kicks. Finally, Taktarov explodes with the leg kick. And Dan's right thigh, you can see, Don, is pretty red already.
That's from that slapping I think he does to himself at the beginning of the fight. But it seems to me, looking at Taktarov, he doesn't seem phased or fatigued.
Okay. And there's the difference between Huas and Severin. Severin sees Taktarov down and goes for him.
Watch the knee bar. That's the aggressiveness. Watch the knee bar. Here it is, right there. It's over. He's got it. He's finishing him right here. He's done.
Dan's trying to work himself out of it. Oleg's got him.
He's got an Achilles hold right now. Dan needs to pull his hand down. Otherwise, Oleg will bring it up and he'll put severe pain on it. Dan needs to break his arms loose and get his legs straight.
Dan slapping away at the face of Taktarov.
Dan needs to be really careful where he's at because he's in the several positions to where he can be submitted. He can do a knee bar from there. He'll roll over it, and he's got him in a knee bar. This is dangerous. He's gone. He's gone. There it is. He's gone. Oh, Dan, nice move. Whoa. How do you get out of that?
He's got to keep rolling. He's got to keep rolling with it.
Every time he tries to put the pressure, he's rolling.
Now he's in a position.
Very nice.
Dan's out of it.
Good job by Severn.
Absolutely. He went the direction that he was trying to force him. He just went with it.
And we got the blood going now. The blood is flowing on Taktarov's face.
And that's what was the factor in the last time these two guys fought.
It doesn't take a hard shot to open the skin. The skin is a 1/4 inch thick, soft material.
Particularly when it's already been opened from the previous fight.
Should Dan go for headbutts here and try to make those wounds open more?
I think his best bet was the open palm because he's going to break his knuckles if he punches, but that open palm can just open that wound up.
Oh, that cut is bad right now.
John's going to be looking very closely at Oleg.
Yes, he is.
I think it's still the same cut. It's just that it's opened up now and it's bleeding.
Right.
I don't think it has really opened up to any great extent like that first cut we saw when these two fought.
I think Ken called it right, though. If he opens that up, it may be stopped on that again.
Yeah, exactly.
And rightfully so.
That's a good tactic for Severn to look at if it presents itself.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, you don't want a man out there bleeding because obviously it's not good for him.
Well, you can't see what happens. That blood gets in your eyes, and you can't see. You'd be a blind fighter.
How well can...
And look at the mouse of the forehead of Taktarov.
It's rising. It's
there the headbutts.
Yeah, he's bleeding really heavily.
John's looking real close at him right now.
He's going to have, if they stand back up, Taktarov is going to be blind out there.
Oleg's moving in for a knee bar right now.
The only reason he can still competently fight is he can feel where Dan is.
Exactly. You see what Dan did? He's putting his arm around Oleg's head because he sees Oleg tucked between his legs, and he's going to try and go for a knee bar again. What Oleg will do is slide his head between Dan's leg. Dan blocks his head so he can't get between his legs, and it keeps him from dropping for a knee bar.
We have seen Taktarov so many times before in this position and just...
He's so dangerous. He's so dangerous. He's always thinking.
Got such tenacity.
Yeah, but at this point in time, Oleg Taktarov has to finish the fight because of the blood.
He's not going to go 15 minutes like that.
Well, there doesn't seem to be that much blood right now. Look at his face. If anything, it's running off the side of his eye there, but it doesn't seem to be as bad as puddling in the eye socket at all.
It's on the canvas of the octagon of Severn.
It's going to be stopped. It's opening. It's going to be stopped.
Now it will be with those kinds of headbutts.
It's going to be stopped. Right. It's going to be stopped.
You know, John might let this go a little while because of what happened last time they fought. Oleg wasn't happy with the stoppage of the fight, but it was stopped rightfully so.
Well, he's confidently defending himself, so should it be stopped?
No fighter ever wants to stop it on a cut. I had 22 stitches in my face. I didn't want to stop it. It was squirting out with my pulse.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And
I don't see it squirting out with his pulse here,
not
so
yet,
I would think that they can keep it going.
Yeah, it's John's judgment, and John's got the best view in there, and if he keeps it going, I've been in there, and I think he's a real professional. He knows when the guy's had enough or it's bleeding too much, so... I mean, John's looking at it close, and he understands what's going on there. So,
well, as long as they're wrestling, I think Oleg can deal with not seeing clearly.
Yeah, those headbutts by Dan Severn to the face of Taktarov.
If they get back on their feet, Oleg will be blind.
He's going for a knee bar. If he breaks that arm off, if Oleg moves his arm off his head, Oleg can slip between his legs and go for a knee bar. He's doing it. He's going. He's in a position right now. He'll do a knee bar. No, Dan scooted the leg out. Very good.
Dan moving
very well. Knees. Here comes the knees.
He's gotten the guy. He's outside the legs now. He has an opportunity to really go after Taktarov now.
I'll tell you what Dan keeps wanting to do is pin him. Let's go. Yeah, but he does do the strikes. He'll use his knees. He'll use his elbows.
Still 21 minutes left in this championship bout. Then there would be a 3-minute overtime if there was still a bout to continue.
Yeah, this won't go to a draw. I believe that, especially with Oleg's technique, if Dan doesn't get the fight stopped with the blood, and it goes into later rounds, Oleg has a really good chance of finishing because he can finish the fight. And Dan is a pounder, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, there he goes. He has to do that. He's got to rain punches. He's got to get after him.
Oleg is a bloody mess on the bottom. And Severn continues to headbutt him. Severn works.
Can you train with Taktarov at times? Tell me, do you feel something for him right now?
Yeah, I do. He's right now is exhausted. He got beat up. He got punched on in the last fight. He came back in. He didn't have the rest that he needed. But hey, this is what this is all about. The champion's got to step up, and I think Oleg's going to be all right. I think he's going to make it. The only way he's going to lose is if John stops the fight because of the blood. And if it was me at this point in time, I would be looking very close at Oleg.
What about his will, Ken? What about Taktarov's will?
He won't quit.
No, I fully agree. I don't even know the guy, and I feel for him. But I do realize that as a fighter, this is still superficial wound. This is skin.
Yes.
That's the damage that he's suffering. His head is not getting jarred around like boxers do.
Going for a choke. He missed it. Oleg is dangerous from this point. If Dan gets too high, Oleg, if he has the energy, could turn him.
There's the roll.
Oh, he tried.
He got his legs inside there, Ken, and he tried to flop him to the side.
Right. Oleg's in a serious situation here, and he needs to. He's just laying there. I don't know if he has anything left.
Come on, let's work. And don't forget the altitude.
Yes, it's a big. The altitude is really big, and it's hard to understand until he actually fight in it. And
you know, it's even bigger, Ken, when you only get 15 minutes off after going 18.
Right. Yes, and you know he's the biggest factor here.
He's taken some knees and some body shots, and he's got a big man on him.
Yeah, this here is going to be really interesting to see if Oleg's going to be able to keep Dan off him long enough to where his cuts will stop. If Dan keeps hitting him, you know, they're going to keep opening up, and of course the blood will keep coming out.
Well, Severin has not stopped working in any bout tonight. He's in tremendous shape for age 37.
You know, at this point now, if Dan would just open his hand and rub on the face, I think he's going to split that skin wide open.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of strikes. It's already open. All he needs to do is just rub it. You know, boxers do that with the ball of the glove.
He's got a tilt going. Dan is just so strong. You know,
he's strong. He's big. He's got leverage.
So strong. Dan's going for a side choke there, but Oleg defended it.
Can Oleg be choked out? Ken?
You know, I've tried several times, man. He's got no neck. I think he breathes with gills.
18 minutes to go. Championship of the Ultimate. Bruce Beck, down the Dragon Wilson, Jeff Blatnick, and Superfight champion Ken Shamrock with you.
All kinds of time left. It doesn't seem like the bleeding now has picked up any. His face is marred.
I know when I fought Oleg before, he started bleeding quite a bit, and then after the fight wore on, the bleeding just stopped.
Yeah.
So
it seems like it's doing that. Yes, that wound is still open, and it will have blood coming out of it, but it is not profuse. It is not puddling in that eye socket. It's not puddling in that eye socket, and as long as it's not doing that, Oleg can still get glimpses, and without a doubt, he's an expert in this guard. He knows where Severin is.
The blood doesn't look pretty, guys.
Never looks pretty.
You know, the thing about this and Oleg's advantage is that because he's rubbing on Dan also, he's got his face up there, and he's rubbing the sweat in there, and that helps dilute the blood. So there's probably blood coming out, but you've got sweat and blood mixed together, and you can't see it with the camera because there's so much sweat in there.
Right, you can see it on the canvas.
It could look worse than it really is.
You can see it on the canvas.
And Severin now getting a little bit of a breather.
He's got a tilt. Oleg needs to, if Oleg would, he needs to get out of there. He's going to get damaged. Dan needs to drive into the fence and start raining some knees here.
Oleg hanging on. He's tearing the chain link fence. He's actually bent the chain link fence with the force trying to hold himself up.
Better watch him.
That was almost a choke there.
Yes, it was. I think he learned, huh?
Severin has shown that he can come back from defeat. The same with Tatara. The big advantage here has been the fact that Tatara had that fight after Severin. Comes in there with a good 25.
Watch this knee. If Dan throws it, Oleg's in trouble.
He's working.
It looks like he's scooting around trying to get him there in that knee position.
You're referring to his left knee coming to the head there?
Left knee. He's spinning around. He's got Oleg's head pinned against the fence. He's trying to get his far leg, his right leg free. Watch the knee bar. If Oleg tucks, he's got his...
Severin now wants to grab onto the fence just to keep him here.
It's not a bad decision either. I think if he can pin Oleg up against the fence, you know, that's where Dan is strongest right there. He pins a guy up and he just starts raining knees and punches. He could be dangerous.
Does Oleg have the strength and to possibly try some type of counter maneuver here?
Yeah, no, that's one thing with Oleg is he'll lay there, he'll store it up, and then one big burst, he'll go for something.
And a burst can do it when you can always go for the choke, right?
He almost caught Huas. He almost caught Huas with it.
Oh, here's the knee of Severin. Tatara works his way to his feet. And now I think John McCarthy will take Oleg over to the doctor, Richard Istrigo, to take a look at it.
This could be a decision right here. It doesn't look too bad there.
Doesn't look bad at all.
One of them's under the eye, that's fine. One above the eye is that's not the one that's bleeding. It's the one on the cheek, and it don't look bad.
No, I think he's going to be all right. I think he's going to finish.
Oh, he's going to be able to go.
Cut man Leon Tabs takes a good look at him.
And that's not to say we're medical people. This is just from the experience we've seen in fighting.
Absolutely.
We obviously leave it up to the doctors.
Absolutely.
It looks really bad for him, but you know his head has not been shook up over and over. It's all the superficial cuts,
Look at his
bruises.
eyes. Look at his eyes. He does not want to lose this fight. Look at Dan Severn. Dan Severn does not want to lose this fight. You got two outstanding warriors in there, and they're going to go out. Look at them. They're ready to go.
They're both ultimate champions as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Very good compliment coming from a super fight champion. That's a very good compliment.
Thank you. I think that they're both champions right out there. They're giving it their all.
Taktarov won UFC 6. Severin won UFC 5. Inside of 15 minutes in the championship of the Ultimate. The largest martial arts purse ever. $150,000 to the winner of this bout. $25,000 to the runner-up. I don't think you can say loser, Ken. I think you have to say
he landed a punch right there.
Oh, he landed another uppercut, too.
Oleg, there's no quitting Oleg.
No, he's the best puncher, too, in these two. Severn can't go with him on the feet like this.
Although Severn is big and strong, he hit me with a straight right hand when I was fighting him, and it shook my world. So he doesn't need a lot of snap of power, just his weight. If he throws it forward and he hits Oleg, he can knock him down.
Good punch by Severin there.
He's going for a knee bar. I think Dan's wise to this, so he's been doing his studying. He understands.
The last time he took on Taktarov, he studied tapes from 1976. He dug out the archives from when he went across.
Oleg's bleeding quite a bit again.
Oh, yes. Now Oleg's face is a bloody mess.
Yeah, it's worse than it was. Yes, I think Oleg needs to move right now, because if he lays there, John has every right to stop this fight. He needs to move. If he moves, then John knows he's okay, and he'll continue the fight. But if he lays there, continues to get punched, John has no option but to stop the fight.
Severin's face is filled with Oleg's blood as well.
Still plenty of time here. The only question is the condition of Oleg Taktarov.
Well, you got to look at Dan. Dan looks a little gassed there, too. This is going to be interesting.
Well, on points, who would you have ahead, Ken?
Oh, definitely Dan Severn. He's dominated the fight.
So would you start to shut her down a little bit, conservative, control Taktarov so he cannot score?
I would definitely keep punching and keep being aggressive. But I wouldn't take any chances because Oleg is dangerous with submissions. All it takes is one mistake.
Right. I always believed it was a game out there. I had no animosity towards my opponent. Right now, if I was Dan, I'd be looking for that $150,000.
You got to look at the feed, how he's trapping Dan's legs, so Dan can't scoot to the side and start dropping knees and punches on him. He's got him what we call in a half guard. He controls that leg there. Dan can't scoot around. He really can't get no brace to throw any punches. And that controls Dan from actually getting off on Oleg with punches and knees.
Isn't this similar to your fight with Taktarov at this point, where it's turning into more of a defensive guard than looking at offense?
Yes, it is. I think at this point in time that Oleg right now is just, I know if I was in his position, I'd be thinking patience. I'm going to wait for him to make a mistake. I'm bleeding. I need to make him do something. He needs to rotate his hips, make Dan move a little bit, make Dan think he's got something, and then go for a hole, because if Oleg waits too long and he's too patient, he's going to start bleeding.
When does patience, though, become urgency?
Well, I think if Dan starts throwing knees and kicks and really starts trying to get out of that half guard, then you'll see Oleg really start to move. He'll have to move. Right now, Oleg's content being right there because he's in really no danger for any power to come and hurt him.
11 minutes and 30 seconds just went by in terms of time remaining in regulation time. And I'll tell you, it looks as though Severn's holding on to Taktarov's head like he's holding on to $150,000.
Right, what I'm saying is, Severn is up. He's up on the judge's decision, I'm sure.
And this is a restart for John McCarthy. He also wants Taktarov to be looked at again, cleaned up. If there's a lack of action, the ref can restart the duo.
Watch these guys' two eyes when they step in there. I mean, neither one of them even see the end. They just see what's in front of them.
I asked Taktarov earlier this week if all the accumulation of punishment in the last 4 UFCs might catch up to him. He said no.
I disagree with that. The skin can only take so much. The skin is beyond your control. I mean, he's got the will, but he's right now. Oleg's going to push him a little bit. He has to. He's losing on points right now, and he really, if he wants to win this thing, he's going to have to go over Dan, and he knows that. I think he really knows that, and. So you'll see Oleg keep coming after him until Dan takes him down, then he'll put him in the guard again and wait for him to stand him up again. Look at these two guys. I mean, look at them. They are not going to stop. These guys are two warriors out there, and they see no way that they're going to give up. They're going to fight to the end.
As much as you people know I like Severin with grappling, I just cannot fathom and understand the heart of Taktarov to take 18 minutes, only get a 20-minute break, and come back, and he's already gone just about another 20 minutes here.
Incredible.
And he's still going.
And I said earlier tonight, guys, that his threshold of pain is incomprehensible.
Yep. I don't, I tell you,
I don't know if there's a lot of pain. It's just bleeding.
Yeah, you're right, and you being an expert at kicking and punching, understand when you throw a punch, how that snap, it hits you, you're going to drop him, but there's really been no snap.
You don't feel it. No, you don't. You wouldn't feel it even if it does. I mean, knockout is the most painless thing you've ever had happen. You just hurt your ego, right? You never know what hits you.
I don't know what Dan's doing, but he needs to get after him. He's got this fight won. If he just needs to go after Oleg.
Right, if he keeps doing this, he's going to end up like Ruas. I mean, he's losing points by backing off.
Under 8 minutes to go in regulation. 3-minute OT to follow if needed. Ultimate championship. Severin and Taktarov.
Oleg and Dan, man, these guys, you could tell how much better that both of them has gotten since the last Ultimate. They're snappier, they're quicker. Oleg's a little better moving on his feet. You saw that fight with Ruas. He was moving well. Ruas is a good boxer.
Severin content now to train punches. Something we didn't think he would be in his arsenal is good striking, but he's able to throw some punches. And I don't know. Maybe fatigue has to be affecting Taktarov.
It has. I have not seen any body punches thrown. Good point. Yet, and really, that's the way you punch it. You can't punch a guy in the head with your knuckles, but you can dig to the body. I mean, you can blast the body, you can double up on the body and get out of there. And at this point, it's a safe thing when your guy's this tired.
You see how quick Oleg moved into that when Dan was in there?
Very gutsy move.
That's what he's like. I mean,
very gutsy.
Dan Severin is strong, big. He comes in after you. Oleg is basically slow, sloppy, but when he hits a move, man, he's snappy, and that's what makes him dangerous. What makes Dan Severin so dangerous is that if he does get into a position, he is going to hurt you.
Looking at the guard, Taktarov on the bottom, Severin on top. Severin thus far, I would say he's the aggressor. Certainly he's done better on the ground. Certainly he's struck more than Taktarov, so I would give him an edge in all 3 categories at this point.
And if you are Severin then, and you know you have a commanding lead, the one thing you don't want to do is make a mistake.
Absolutely. Start shutting it down, be a little bit more conservative, continue to attack, but as Ken said, you cannot make a mistake, and you make mistakes when you get overly aggressive. When you let your ego take over instead of your thought process.
You also get it when you're overconfident.
Yeah, exactly. And Dan's actually fighting a pretty smart fight. Other than I think he's taking too much time when he had Oleg into the fence. He probably could have unloaded some good shots there. And
some of those knees that he was using, he should have backed off a little bit, maybe used the knees, because Oleg looked a little too winded and tired to really launch an attack himself.
Yes, and now, and the thing like that, it's easy to stand out here looking here and say they should have did this and they should have did that, But these two guys in there are really fighting hard. They both have great technique. I fought them both. They're both outstanding. And Oleg is dangerous in his way, and Dan is dangerous in his way. And this makes for a great finish.
Right, this is the best fight of the evening, and rightfully so. It's the main event, actually.
You think Severin has improved since when you fought him in the super fight?
Dan is smarter. He's not coming in with his head down. Oleg tried to choke him one time. He put his chin down. Oleg couldn't get the hand in to choke him. Dan is coming in a little higher. He's throwing punches, more punches, and he's shooting off those punches.
Under 5 minutes to go.
Dan Severn fighting like it's his last fight.
You know, I'm amazed at this. You know, before the event started, people come up and ask me if it was going to be a draw, and I said, no way. And I'm amazed at how long this fight has gone with these two guys. And, you know, it has been no rest. These guys have been going at it the whole time.
Early on, it looked like it might end quickly.
Absolutely, with Oleg bleeding and Dan actually being stronger and obviously in better shape at that point in time. And Oleg has basically fought a smart fight by just waiting and waiting until he gets Dan in his position as being tired. And right now, I think they're both equally as tired.
Right now, with 4 minutes and 17 seconds, we remind you that is regulation.
There's always one punch in the back of the head.
If there is no finish here, in other words, a submission or a knockout or a doctor stopping the fight, we will do the 3 minutes overtime.
Well, Dan Severn went to the finals of UFC 4. He lost to Royce Gracie, a triangle choke. He came back in UFC 5. He won the championship. Then he lost to Ken Shamrock in the super fight of 6. And now trying to come back in the ultimate and atone for that loss.
You've been working. I'm totally amazed. You know, all these fighters are just, you know, they're all getting so much better.
Do you think that's partly due to their training or partly understanding their opponents?
Well, both. I think it's both, because if you can end the fight with a submission hold, then it ends quickly. But if you get a guy that's in not so good shape, it don't matter whether you finish him with a finishing hold or not.
Kenny, there's also the vehicle now to improve, and that is competing in the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen the fights tonight, and these guys are raring to go. These guys are all champions, and they're going for it.
And the crowd, you can hear them, they're not booing. That shows their respect for these two fighters. And respect, Don, is what the fight game's all about. 3 minutes left in regulation.
Look at Oleg's face. He's got welts all over the top of his forehead and cheek. He's holding on to Dan's neck, trying to keep Dan from raising up and actually landing any headbutts to open up any more cuts.
Right at this point, it's a safe bet they're not going to stop it on a cut. If I was Dan,
you got to go.
Yeah, I'm sure there must be some finishing moves that he could be trying, but maybe he just feels it's too dangerous to even try one.
With Oleg Taktarov, he is so good at defending from submission. He knows when a body moves a certain way or he shifts his weight a certain way, he knows what's coming and he's able to defend that. And that's what makes Oleg so tough, is that he knows how to block. When you shift your weight, he knows what's coming.
So Dan knows that, and he's just using these just to be doing something aggressive and hopefully get some points.
Well, Dan, he's picking his leg up, and he'll scoot to one side. You watch how Oleg maneuvers his way when Dan maneuvers his. Oleg will slip a leg out. You'll see here in a minute, if one of them moves, you'll see how the other one on the bottom counteracts that move.
Under 2 minutes
to go. There goes Dan, he slides over. Oleg puts his leg up higher and drops the other one down on the other side. If Dan moves too far over, he'll slip the leg under and tilt him. See how his leg's sliding down on the far side? He's going to look to tilt Dan. He'll slide the leg inside if Dan moves too far to the left.
Dan does not want to make the mistake he did with Royce Gracie when he...
There he goes. Oh, he did catch it just right. He was trying to slip it under there and make the turn.
He lost to the guillotine choke in that one after controlling much of the action, we thought.
Very much like an elevator in wrestling. Just flip that leg.
Watch how he slides it down. See how sneaky he is? He's sliding it down. He's sliding it down, and he'll stick it under when he feels Dan is not ready or off balance, and he'll try and tilt him.
Severn, being very smart, has Oleg Taktarov's upper body in hand, under lock. He's not allowing Taktarov really to do anything. He knows he's ahead, probably by the judges in his efforts, and he is trying to stay a little bit conservative to prevent Taktarov from getting an opening.
50 seconds to go in regulation.
Well, let's see what happens here. I wonder if they know how much time is left.
The referee does instruct, Ken, do you usually hear it? Can you ever hear it?
It's kind of tough in there when you're in there in this situation. You're so concentrated on what's going on in there that you don't make a mistake or fall asleep and let the guy catch you with something. So, yeah, sometimes you hear it, and sometimes you just your thought is on what's going on there. There goes Oleg with the leg inside. He slipped it inside. He needs to go for the tilt now. I think Dan feels it though, and so he's posting with that close to left knee. He's posting with his elbow behind Oleg's head.
Final seconds of regulation, a 3-minute overtime to follow. Finals of the ultimate, and they will get the restart in just a second.
3-minute overtime, yes?
Yes, 3-minute OT.
3 minutes. Go to your corner.
I think you'll see Dan coming out and being a beast with this next 3 minutes. Well, he's got 3 minutes, and he knows whoever finishes strong is likely to win this thing. And I think I got Dan way ahead on points. Oleg needs to win with the submission. I think Dan is not going to settle for a draw. I think he wants to come out and get it done.
Here we go, 3-minute overtime. Jeff, what's the one thing Dan doesn't want to get caught with here?
He wants to stay in control and not flurry. Flurry is an advantage for Taktarov because of his skill in submission locks. Plus, when you get in a flurry, it's an all-out go. You're kind of sprinting. You can't control everything that happens. Severin wants to measure Taktarov and keep him in front of him and not make any big mistakes. Particularly, just don't flurry with him. If you have to, go under him, try to knock him down to the mat, kill time in the guard position.
Oleg's coming after him. Dan needs to throw some back. There he goes. There it is. Dan needs to be careful with his front leg. He's leaving it out there. Oleg's going to try and tuck for a knee bar. He'll get inside on him. Dan needs to watch that front leg. I think Oleg's kind of content with throwing punches here. What do you think?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think he's looking to try to hit him. Whoa! He might also know that he can wait to the last minute to go for an all-out lock. Maybe set Severin up by thinking he wants to get into a pounding battle.
Well, Severin is not much of a puncher, and as tired as Oleg is, it doesn't take much to take a guy out. If he could land something, maybe he thinks he can actually hurt Dan standing up.
Dan throws a straight jab here. You'll hit him.
It just seems Taktarov has to be fatigued beyond belief. He's just got to be exhausted.
I'm tired watching him.
And yet he still steps forward. He's got his hands up at least to his waist. Sevens are up by his head, which is obviously good for protecting himself. But Taktarov here is going to have to make a move.
Does Taktarov have one big move left?
I think so. I think he does, and I think he'll use it. You'll see him. Oleg won't settle for it. Dan won't settle for it. These guys are going to go after each other. They know it. They're waiting for that 1 minute probably, and it's a full flurry. I think Dan, though, if he was smart, I think he's fighting a smart fight right now because he is ahead. Right.
He's got that purse.
Oh, good
right hand by Severin.
That was a good shot there.
But he was smart. He backed up. Absolutely. He knew he had it. He landed the punch and backed out.
He doesn't want to engage in battle now, does he?
No. See,
he's got everything to lose.
Oleg got hit, and he said, figured Dan would